Hi, good afternoon. My name is Malc Brown. I'm the project manager at the University of Manchester. Thank you to the conference for the opportunity to present the exciting tale of hot dog, branded for the purpose of this conference only, I have to say. We're going to spend the next 20 minutes just explaining what the BlackDackel product is and what the costing by way of introduction, really, it's a costing tool that's integrating with Pure, hence the reason for the importance of telling everybody about what we're doing in this forum. So before we go on to the costing tool itself, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background in terms of the importance of research at the University of Manchester. So we're a world-leading university at the forefront of research, aspirations to be in the top 25 of the world-class universities. Now we have an annual income of £1 billion coming into the university, of which 391 million of that is from research. So research itself represents 40% of our income stream. So it is quite significant. Now the costing project is about to go live. We spent the last over 12 months developing it, working hand in hand with BlackDackel, who are our chosen partner. So it's a significant investment and it's a significant piece of work for the university, precisely because of the importance of research at the university. So the key areas for us is that we needed a costing tool that was going to enable us to produce robust budgets. At the moment, we have a costing process, but it's felt that we need to improve on that and go through a much more formal one. So the whole purpose of the costing tool is to enable the university to understand all the costs associated with particular grants that are given to us, or seeking throughout for grants. So we work with a number of funders at the university, and those funders hold us accountable for the good spend and the full costing of a project. So for our system, and the key drivers for what we're doing at the moment is to have a system that's going to be easy to work with, that's got a greater level of visibility, and a higher level of take-up. And we need to make sure that it complies with the university and funder policies. We're accountable for the money that's given to us. And we've got to ensure that the workflows that we've built in there have got good integration, particularly with Pure, and all with a view to giving a greater level of oversight. Now, I think there's a slide, so I'm going to hand over shortly to Johannes Ferber, who is the managing director of BlackDackel. And as I say, BlackDackel is our partner in all this process. We work very closely, very regularly with Johannes. And as we go through, you'll see some of the details of what the costing tool is going to bring to us.
Thank you, Mark. So what we're trying to achieve here is to embed costing and pricing into the overall bid development process. And here's the data flow. Essentially, the user starts off by creating an application in Pure, capturing some basic metadata about the application. And then at some point, he or she hits a button, require costing. This will then create a corresponding record in BlackDackel. The costs are being drafted there. The costs can also be reviewed, run through approval process, and be finalized there. And eventually, the costing figures will go back to Pure, and the application record in Pure will be updated with those costing figures. And then the application goes from there in Pure. So what I'm going to show you in the next, 4 minutes or so is how that lower swim lane, the BlackDackel swim lane, looks like. And for that, let's switch over to our demo server. Thank you. So this is a project record in BlackDackel, and this is where Pure takes the user when a costing is requested. The project is already pre-populated with some basic metadata from Pure, title, PI, project period, and so on. And my job as a user now is to model costs for that project. So let's add some funding details. This will help the system apply the correct funder rules for determining the price of our costs, of our costings. And let's add the actual costing. All right, so we've got now costs and prices for that single resource that I've just added. And what the system also does in the background is to check a number of institutional policies, like the minimal PI and COI time on the project and others. In our case, the PI COI policy is violated. So let's add a PI to our project, or to our budget more specifically. All right, we can now inspect much more details about that staff resource if we like, including all the various cost elements, overheads, and so on. I'm not going into any detail here, but one thing that's worth being mentioned here is that BlackDackel also maps all cost elements to their Oracle or whatever finance codes here, which means that we can present data to other systems in whatever cost structure is required by that other system. And this granular code-by-code data should also go into Pure. We're currently working on integrating that, and Laura will also briefly touch upon that later. Okay, we are now good on our COI and PI policy. We are not good on our technician policy yet. We haven't added any technician to the budget, but let's say we really don't need or want a technician on this project. So let's request a waiver for it. So in practice, this would now show up on someone else's dashboard for approval, escalation, or other process steps. I'm stopping here. For the sake of time, we could now create more budget drafts for this project, or clone the budget to create further scenarios. But let's just say we're happy with this budget and want to progress it further. We can do that by promoting it further in the life cycle, like this. And this currently also triggers the data transfer back to Pure. And this is the other thing that we're currently working on, figuring out what's the best point in the process for bringing data back to Pure. For instance, after all waiver requests have been approved, or whether we should add a dedicated button somewhere here. But what goes to Pure are essentially those high-level figures up here in the budget already today, plus going forward, the more granular code-by-code data. Thank you for your attention. Back to Laura.
Thanks, Johannes. So just really quickly, my name's Laura Turner. I manage Pure at the University of Manchester. You may have seen me on other presentations today. I'm back. Just really quickly wanted to let everybody know why would we do this. So as you'll know from our other presentations, we went live with awards management in July, and we did that project, and we thought, why stop there? Let's integrate with a costing tool. Let's keep ourselves busy. So just by way of an explanation of why this project's really important to us at Manchester. at the moment, users have got to rekey what you'll know are often very complex financial information multiple times when they do a costing. So they'll cost a project, it'll have to go into a grants management system, it'll have to be input originally to the costing tool, it may need to be re-input to the funder submission system, and it may also, need to be input to a finance system, and that's a lot of data re-entry. So wherever we can integrate systems at Manchester, we always try to. Because we have so much manual data entry at the moment, you'll also know that that's prone to error. So the more times that users have to input data, the more likely there are to be errors. And also for us at Manchester, we have a lot of application and award records. We're quite a large institution, as Malc's outlined. It's time consuming. If you have to input the same often complex costings maybe 2, 3, 4 times, that can take a lot of time and effort to do. So wherever we can integrate information like costing information, that's something that's really important for us to do. So as Johannes has mentioned, what the new process will do, it will mean that users at Manchester can start their grant management process in Pure. So they'll start by creating an application record, and that's something, again, that's quite new for them. We've only been doing that since July, but people are up and running doing that. And then what will happen is they'll be able to push that high-level application information directly into BlackDackel. So there's no need to rekey information such as the title, the project dates, the PI, the managing organisation. That's all part of the integration. And then the detailed costing, as Johannes has outlined, will happen in BlackDackel. So anybody that's involved in that costing process will have access to BlackDackel, and the approvals for those costings will happen in that system. And then once we have a final costing, that costing information will be integrated back into Pure. So removing one of those steps that we have at the moment where data needs to be rekeyed. So just for anybody that's probably not seen this before, this is what it looks like on a Pure application record. So if you have AMM at your institution, you'll be familiar with this screen. This is an application record. You can see down at the bottom, you get a notification to say that this record has been synchronized with BlackDackel, and it also tells the user how often that synchronization runs. So when you create an application in Pure, the information goes straight to BlackDackel. There's no waiting around. Often institutions like our own, integrations can sometimes take 24 hours. We're not in that position. The data goes straight over to BlackDackel. And then when the costing's finalised, the information about that costing comes back into Pure on a 10-minute integration. So again, you don't have to wait very long to get that information back onto your application record in Pure. Again, over on the right-hand side of this screenshot, you can see that what happens when you link awards management with BlackDackel, it creates a link. So it links the two systems. So again, for usability for our end users, what it means is that they can quite quickly move between Pure and BlackDackel just at the click of a button. So next steps, as Johannes has mentioned, as ever at Manchester, we love an integration, and then we like to ask for more and more and more, and Elsevier will be familiar with this as well, I'm sure. So we can integrate the top level financials at the moment, so our costing and our price, but what we'd also really want to do is integrate our detailed budget lines, so our travel costs, our staff costs, our consumable costs, because that's where a lot of the time is spent re-entering that data. So that's the integration that we're working on at the moment. And a shout out both to Johannes at BlackDackel and also to the guys in Chiara's team at Elsevier for all the help that they're giving us to make that integration work. It's very much appreciated. There's a couple of tweaks we need to make. We need to make some notifications look a little bit better and some improvements on links, but we'll get there. That work's in progress and we're really pleased with what we've got so far. So enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Tracy Ann, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges and also the work that we're doing around training.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Laura. And yeah, my name's Tracy Ann Sinclair. I'm the Research Support Manager and Costing Subject Matter Expert on the project. I'm just going to be covering some of the challenges that we've been facing and some of the pre and post live activities that we're going to be implementing when we go live. So I'm sure most of you have been dealing with the same challenges that we have of COVID-19. obviously we've had to really adapt the way that we've been working as a project and as a team and become a brand new virtual team. So yeah, we've had to kind of reassess some of our milestones and make sure we can still achieve those outputs for a lot of our workflows. One of the next challenges that we face is that research applications and costings can actually be quite complex, and it's been quite difficult to find solutions to provide a full, like, flexible solution to ensure that we can cover all those costing scenarios. But we've been working really closely with BlackDackel, as Laura and Johannes has said, and we've been able to either utilize existing functionality or agree on future enhancements for the product, such as that kind of extra granular integration of financials. The next challenge that we've faced is kind of time delays. So because we've been working on kind of enhanced functionality, we've been providing a bit more of a bespoke tool at the University of Manchester. Some of our milestones have kind of been delayed, so we've had to be able to change some of our delivery dates. We've been engaging a lot of our users to ensure that they kind of keep up to date with the project and they are enthused when we launched the project in 2021. But as part of this, we've actually been having to manage expectations. Because we're providing a bit more of a bespoke tool, I think we've had to kind of clarify the parameters of what the tool will actually be able to provide when we do go live. But we have employed some staff who have been involved in an advisory group, and they've been feeding into some of our problem solving and testing on the product, which has been really valuable. So we can still engage our user cohorts and manage their expectation of what the actual product will deliver. So some of the training and kind of pre and post live activities that we've been working on is a really robust training plan for our user cohorts. We've identified our different types of users and we've been developing a pathway for their training, ensuring that all the different types of users are given a bit more of a bespoke training program. And we've had to kind of change a lot of the way that we would be training them. So instead of a face-to-face training, everything will be a much more virtual world. So PDF documents, online training, and virtual drop-in sessions. We've also agreed on a phased approach of user access and training. And at the moment, we're focusing on our kind of internal admin users. So they will be able to develop those skills in the system, and then they can support our user cohorts at the university, especially when we're introducing things like our user acceptance testing before we actually launch. We'll also be providing academics with access to the costing tool, but that will be in phase 2 of our user kind of access launch. And this allows our main support staff to be able to get used to the tool, be familiar with it before their academic cohorts then have access, and they can field any questions that they might have. The tool will be developed and deployed alongside the current costing tool. We want to make sure that there's an overlap of data and there isn't any data lost. But doing that, we'll be able to avoid kind of double entry. So, we can phase out the use of the old system and then ensure that once those have been completed, everyone will be able to use a new system, and then we can decommission the old one and we don't have to worry about kind of old data being stored where it's not being supported. And we've been working on post-deployment support models, so we can ensure that kind of post-launch activities have been captured, and these will encompass things like workflows and procedures at the university to make sure that our support teams are on hand to support all of our users if they come up against anything while they're using the system, but also to support kind of system maintenance in the future, any future enhancements, and development testing as well. Because we want to make sure that the project doesn't just end with the launch of the tool. Ongoing support is important for a successful change project at the university. So yeah, that's all from me, and over to Malc. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy Ann. So I hope that's given you a very whistle-stop tour of what has been and continues to be a very exciting journey. The hot dog trail, as we fondly called it. It's we've tried to communicate, I think, some of the importance of this piece of work to the university, certainly in terms of the monetary value and in terms of the regulations that we have to follow. Tracy Ann's explained some of the challenges that we've gone through, and I hope that what has come across is some of the teamwork that's been involved in this piece of work, and continues to be teamwork, not least within the project team at the university itself, but partnering with BlackDackel and also with Pure, given the integration that we're working with. So it is an extremely important, highly visible project, but thankfully resourced by some key individuals. Stephanie, do we have time for questions, or have we run out? It was inevitable we was going to run out, wasn't it?
We have run out of time, so I would like to thank all of you for your presentation. It was very enlightening. We had a few questions coming in, so if you have a question that you put in the chat box, please go to the forum and post it there, so people can go there and answer your question as well.